Confession of the Judge. I have worn the robe for 42 years, long enough that the fabric has molded itself to my shoulders, long enough that I sometimes forget it is there, until I take it off and feel strangely exposed. I have sentenced murderers, acquitted the innocent, broken bad laws with careful words, and upheld good ones even when they were unpopular. My rulings have been overturned, praised, cursed, and taught in law schools. Through it all, there has been one thing no one, not attorneys, not politicians, not even my closest colleagues, has ever been able to accuse me of: bias. Until my final case. It should have been routine in structure, if not in weight. The defendant, a man charged with orchestrating a series of financial crimes so vast they hollowed out pensions, collapsed hospitals, and quietly erased entire towns from maps. No blood on his hands, the defense said. Only numbers. Only paper. But I had read the files. I knew exactly how many people had died because medicine went unfunded, because safety inspections were skipped, because desperation does not show up neatly on a balance sheet. The law was clear, painfully clear. The evidence was overwhelming. And then, 3 nights before closing arguments, my phone rang. No caller ID, no voice at first, just breathing. Calm. Patient. Then a man spoke my name. Not loudly, not threateningly, as if we were old friends. He listed my wife's morning routine, the route my granddaughter takes home from school, the cemetery plot where my parents are buried. Facts delivered gently, like items read from a grocery list. He never once raised his voice. He told me how I would rule, not suggested, not requested, told. An acquittal, or at worst a ruling that would fracture the case so completely on appeal that the defendant would walk free within months. If I did not, he said my legacy would be corrected. My family would suffer unfortunate consequences. He was careful with his words. No explicit threats, nothing that would help law enforcement. Just certainty. When the call ended, my house had never felt so small. I reported it, of course. Security was increased. Investigations were opened. And yet each morning, a new envelope appeared. Photographs taken from across the street. Copies of private correspondence I had written decades ago. A child's drawing from my granddaughter's backpack, returned with a note. She's very talented. The message was unmistakable. They could reach me anywhere. For the first time in my career, I began to understand how corruption truly works. Not through greed, through fear. Through the slow, nauseating realization that the law you serve cannot protect the people you love from the people who do not believe in it. I sat alone in chambers and argued with ghosts, past versions of myself who had ruled without hesitation. I reread my own opinions, searching for permission to compromise. I found none. On the morning of the verdict, the courtroom was packed. Reporters, survivors, law students. My family sat in the gallery, proud, unaware, smiling at a man who felt like he was already standing at his own funeral. I stood to read my final ruling. My hands did not shake. That surprised me. I spoke slowly, carefully. I laid out the facts, the law, the precedent. I acknowledged the defense's arguments and dismantled them one by one. The room was silent enough to hear breathing. And I did something I had never done before. I went off script. I told the court that justice is not blind because it cannot see consequences, but because it must choose to ignore intimidation. I said that the robe I wore was not armor, and never had been, but a promise. I spoke of fear, not abstract fear, but the kind that names your children and walks past your home at night. I admitted, on the record, that attempts had been made to coerce this court. I stated plainly that threats against a judge's family are not leverage. They are evidence of guilt far beyond the charges filed. Gasps filled the room. Pens froze mid-sentence. Then I delivered the verdict. Guilty on all counts. Maximum sentencing. Immediate remand. No stays, no concessions. I looked directly at the defendant as I did it, and for the first time, his confidence faltered. The courtroom erupted. Some cried, some applauded, some shouted. My wife gripped my hand so tightly afterwards that my fingers went numb. She asked me later if I had known what might happen. I told her the truth. I still don't. The investigations are ongoing. My family lives under protection now. My name is in the news for reasons I never wanted. Some call me brave. Others call me reckless. A few call me dead man walking. Perhaps they are all right. But I know this. If I had ruled differently, I would have lived the rest of my life as a man who survived by surrendering the very thing that made survival worth it. I would have taught my children that the law bends to those who threatens hardest. I would have retired safely and empty. My career ended the moment I read that verdict. My conscience did not. If this confession is read someday as part of my legacy, let it be known that justice is not proven when it is easy. It is proven only once, when fear is at its loudest, and the law is spoken anyway.